Let's talk about the passive voice. Before I explain to you what the passive voice is, I want to show it inside a context. Okay, so we're gonna have one story, one short story, and I'm going to tell the same story in different ways. The first time I'll tell you the story in the active voice, and the second time I'll tell you the same story in the passive voice. Let's start with the active voice. Once upon a time, a team of scientists discovered a new planet. They named it Terra Nova. People worldwide celebrated this discovery. Now, I'll tell you the same story, but in the passive voice. A new planet was discovered by a team of scientists. It was named Terra Nova. This discovered was celebrated by people worldwide. So, what is the active and what is the passive voice? The active voice focus on the person that is doing the action. For example, here, who discovered a new planet? A team of scientists. So the focus is telling that the team of scientists discovered the planet. Here, they say that the scientists named the new planet Terra Nova. The focus is telling that the scientists named it. And after, here, our focus is telling who celebrated this discovery. So, who celebrated? People worldwide. While in the passive voice, the focus is on what or who receives the action. The focus is not on who is doing the action, but the focus is in the action itself. And we can use the passive voice in some different ways. We can use the passive voice when the object is more important than the person that did the action. For example, the new planet was named Terra Nova. It doesn't matter who named the planet. The important thing here is that the planet was named Terra Nova. That's the focus, not on the person that named the planet. We also use the passive voice when we don't know who did the action. For example, my bike was stolen. Who stole my bike? I have no idea. I don't know. But I know the action. What was the action that happened? The bike was stolen. I don't know who did this action. We can also use the passive voice when we don't want to say who did the action. We may know who did the action, but we don't want to tell. Like it's a secret. So I don't want to tell you who did this action. I just want to tell you that this action happened. For example, they were told to be quiet. Alguém mandou eles ficarem quietos. Who told them to be quiet? It doesn't matter. The important thing here is that they were told to be quiet. We can also use the passive voice to talk about a fact. How come? For example, rules are made to be broken. Rules are made to be broken. So this is a fact. Oh, the rules are made to be broken by... No, it's just a fact. It's made to be broken. And also, we can use it when you talk about people in general. For example, the text can be found on that book. The text can be found on that book. Who can find the text? People in general. So I don't need to tell you who can find it because it's obvious. It's like everybody who looks on the book can find the text. Or we can also use the passive voice when the person that is making the action is obvious. For example, the road was repaired. So who repaired the road? The people that work fixing roads. So it's obvious. I can also say she was medicated in the hospital. I don't need to say who medicated her. It's obvious that it was the doctor. So I can say she was medicated in that hospital by the doctor. But the doctor is obvious, so I don't need to say it. Okay? So now I'll tell you how you can turn an active voice into a passive voice. But first, I'll give you one example of the active voice so we can tell apart what an active voice is and what a passive voice is. So the active sentence is like this: she baked a delicious cake. So what is the focus here? Here, the focus is telling that she baked the cake. I don't want to focus on the person. I want to focus on the action, on the thing, on who or what received the action. Okay? And also, we have another sentence. The teachers are telling a story. The focus here is telling that the teachers are telling this story. So I make it obvious about who is doing the action. That's my focus. I want to tell you who is doing the action, but I want to turn it into a passive voice, and I want my focus to be on who is receiving the action and not who is making the action. So let's go for the practice. I will show you how you can change an active sentence into a passive sentence. Okay, you're gonna need 4 steps. Okay, the first step is think about what are we talking about. In the first sentence, for example, she baked a delicious cake. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a cake. So first you're gonna put a cake. Then the cake become the subject of the sentence. It means that the cake is the main topic. We're talking about the cake. The second step is to add the verb be, but you need to pay attention to the verb tense. It means that if the active voice is in the present, then the passive voice must be in the present. If the active voice is in the past, the passive voice must be in the past. If the active voice is in the future, the passive voice must be in the future. If the active voice is in the present perfect, the passive voice must be in the present perfect. Okay, so the tense of the passive voice follows the tense of the active voice. In this case here, the sentence is in the past, so I'm going to add the verb be in the past. So the past of be is was or were, but cake is only one, so was. So for now we have a cake was, and then we're gonna go to the third step. The third step is putting the action of the sentence. So what happened with the cake? A cake was baked. That was the action. So a delicious cake was baked. And you need to put the verb, this action, in the past participle. Do you remember the table? We have the present, the simple past, and then the past participle. So you're gonna go on the third table of the past participle. Okay? If the past participle is a regular verb, you just need to add ed. But if it's a irregular verb, you need to change everything. So, for example, stolen, written, these are the past participle. And baked is the past participle of bake. So, a delicious cake was baked. And now let's go for the fourth step. The fourth step is you can say who did the action, but it's optional. Okay? You cannot add by and then the person. So our sentence here will be a cake, or a delicious cake. Yes. So what are we talking about? We're talking about delicious cake. So a delicious cake. Now we need to add the verb be. The verb be, the sentence here is in the past. So a delicious cake was. What happened with delicious cake? Baked. Okay, so we're gonna put this in the past participle. The past participle of baked is baked. A delicious cake was baked. And then I can say who baked the cake. I will add by and then her. A delicious cake was baked by her. She baked a delicious cake. A delicious cake was baked by her. Now let's change this one to the passive voice. Here, what are we talking about in this sentence? The teachers are telling a story. What are we talking about? We are talking about a story. Okay, now we add the verb be. Okay, here this sentence is in the present continuous with ing. So I'm gonna put the sentence in the present continuous. So a story is being, está sendo, is being. So every time you have the present continuous, it's gonna be this way, is being. A story is being. What is happening with the story? It's being told. The past participle of tell is told. A story is being told. And who is telling the story? The teachers. So a story is being told by the teacher. I mean, the teachers. Now, my focus here is on the story that is being told, not on the teachers that are telling the stories. Okay, so that's what you're going to do to make passive sentences. You're going to first talk about what you want to talk about. Then you're going to put the verb be after the action in the past participle, and then you add by and the person that is doing that action. Okay, so now let's do an exercise. I have here a few sentences. What I want you to do is pause this class, and then you will put all these sentences into the passive voice. I will do the first one with you, okay? They fixed the broken chair. What is the object here? The object is the broken chair. Okay. Now I need to add the verb be. The broken chair was, what happened? Fixed. The broken chair was fixed. And that's it. That's it. But I can tell you who did that action. A broken chair was fixed by them. The broken chair was fixed by them. Okay? So first, find the object. After, put the verb be. Then, find the action that happened. And then add by and the person. So now pause this class and do the other sentences. Okay, did you pause this class? Did you do the sentences? Now I'll show you the answers. He wrote an interesting story. An interesting story was written by him. They will build a house. A house will be built by them. She writes a letter. A letter is written by her. She's preparing dinner. Dinner is being prepared by her. She has done lots of homeworks. Lots of homeworks have been done by her. So now I'll switch to Portuguese. Então, o foco aqui, nessas vozes aqui passivas, pode esquecer esse nome, mas é só você lembrar que o foco é no objeto que está recebendo a ação, tá? Então, por exemplo, aqui, qual é o objeto? É uma história interessante. E o que está acontecendo com ela? Ela está sendo escrita. É isso que está acontecendo com ela. O foco é que a história está sendo escrita. Não em quem fez a ação, mas sim em quem está recebendo a ação. So now, I have a few activities for you. First, you're gonna watch a video, okay? In this video, I want you to listen and write the passive sentences that you identify. After, you will have an exercise to complete, to put the active voices into the passive voice. And then after, it's your turn to create active and passive voice sentences. So you're gonna put, for example, 3 sentences in the active voice, and then put the same sentences into the passive voice. Okay? So you're gonna create at least 6 sentences, and I want you to interpose between sentences in the present, in the past, future, present continuous, and etc. Okay? I hope you'll understand it. If you have any questions, leave a comment here down below, and I'll help you. And that's it. See you next class. Bye bye.